Hello, everyone. I'm Lynn Hodge. I'm a professor at UT, and also I direct the East Tennessee STEM Hub.
And I'm Anant Godbole. I'm the director of the Northeast Tennessee STEM Hub, but I'll be speaking after Lynn is finished.
Okay, great. Well, I wanted to start by acknowledging our wonderful team at the East Tennessee STEM Hub, our wonderful, diverse, and committed team. Then I'd like to, in this talk, brief talk, I'd like to look back, but also look forward. To set that stage, I'd like to talk first about three ideas that I feel like connect our past, present, and also future work. And the first of those ideas has to do with STEM practices and identity. So I've had the privilege of visiting quite a few schools in East Tennessee, actually, Tennessee. And it seems like the topic of identity really comes up a lot. How do we provide opportunities for students to see the possibilities of who they can become in terms of STEM? How do we do that? You know, those identity possibilities, how do we create those experiences? And I think those are important. And I focus on those at the university level. But I think what I found is that the that kind of talk of identity, that focus on identity can be daunting to some or many students. And whereas I think all of us can develop competence in terms of STEM practices. For example, the idea that I can draw a picture to further define a problem, or I can ask some really amazing questions to help my team, to help myself to connect the dots to solve a challenge that's posed to us. So those practices are more tangible. And so I think the overall point is to focus on practices as well as identity and to see practices as building toward identities. A second one has to do with partnerships. You know, we've talked about how diverse partnerships really build better products, but better learning experiences. But I think now for the work ahead, we're looking at research practice partnerships that really leverage and enhance co design and co implementation. And then the third idea is about STEM through play. So, again, that's been around for a long time, but I think that idea of creating these playful spaces um, that is becoming more important because creative ideas are needed to solve the novel problems that we face. Um, so I think, you know, Eleanor Duckworth talks about this kind of creativity as students having wonderful ideas, right? And Gyu Hatano really talks about this as adaptive expertise. So, how do we create those kinds of spaces that foster that creativity? So, onward. Okay, so these were some topics that have come up as I've talked with teachers and also other community members across East Tennessee. So, computer science, design thinking, integration with standards. How do we do that in terms of STEM? And then also, where can we find more math and science teachers? And there seems to be a shortage locally, but also nationally. And really, what other topics would you consider to be priorities? I'm going to ask you to toss those in the chat. We'll be visiting those comments following both of our presentations. Okay, just a reminder about our design principles, focusing on lived experience, infusing play, but also thinking about different ways of knowing and being inclusive of those. Okay, So now I'm getting to really the core of my talk, which is I'm going to start with looking back and some of the highlights from this year. I think for me and also for our team are some of these events that I'm showing on the screen right now. And I think one of the highlights for me especially was the conversation about STEM clubs and having a group of teachers come together and share thoughts about that, and also a computer science workshop that we were able to host in the fall that connected storytelling and robotics, and really hearing the teacher stories, the participant stories as part of this. Special thanks to some teachers who co-facilitated with us: Brooke Carter, Katie McKee, Ashley McNeely, and then two teachers who will be co-facilitating with us this summer, Kim Kirby and also Lisa Buckner. So in terms of events for students, we had an opportunity to partner with some other organizations as part of Big Orange STEM Saturday for students. And we did this in the fall, and we also did this in the spring. In the fall, we were able to host a design challenge that was looking at COVID data, but also designing a reopening plan for a hypothetical school. So we had students engaging in this problem solving process in small groups. In the spring, we offered a design challenge that looked at a space, a local space, and asked students to really think about designing in terms of accessibility. So, okay. And I think too, the team and I felt really positively about how we were able, with the help of schools, teachers, administrators, we were able to pivot and offer support to families through STEM kits and linking those STEM kits to STEM challenges and activities that were offered on our website. So, some upcoming events that we have, and it looks like one of them's already happened. So, I'm going to move on to the other two. We were able to host a STEM social with the Middle Tennessee STEM Hub, and just had some really good conversations about resources. Also, the idea of literacy in STEM came up again, and with teachers sharing resources as well. This summer, during the month of June, we're offering a computer science workshop series. And this was based on feedback we received from teachers in the fall. And so the first session will focus on kind of an introduction to computational thinking, some activities, unplugged activities that teachers can use and implement in their classrooms. The second session will be like a scaffolding session to build expertise on programming with robotics. The third session will focus on literacy and computational thinking. And the fourth brings it all together, and we invite teachers back for a discussion about activities that they've had a chance to think more about or they've extended in some way. And that will be a wrap up to that series. And for the first time, we're offering a workshop series that will focus on design thinking, and I would say with a Tennessee twist, because we're going to be looking at Tennessee context as part of this workshop series. And participants can earn a level 1 badge in participating with this. And I would say the final project for this will focus probably on a design question that they choose. We have some different options. For example, one is about selecting a community and then thinking about creating a space that will positively impact this community. It can be a school community, it can be a classroom community, and we have some other questions like that that can be tailored to individual participants. So let me go on. All right. So we've got some upcoming opportunities for K-12 students and community college and university students. We're offering STEM teaching internships during the month of June, and they are paid internships. So students have a chance to learn about what it means to teach STEM. And we're also offering 2 hands on STEM camps. One will focus on middle school students, the other high school. Both will really highlight STEM as a tool to tackle community issues. And we have invited guests to be part of those, engineers, also graduate students in STEM who will talk about their experiences. Okay, so these are the fall opportunities that we know of right now that I just wanted to highlight. So one of these is a professional development opportunity that continues with that computer science series. And so this will focus on an online tool. It's a maze tool, and it's created by our computer science collaborators at UT. Amir and Jovi have designed this tool so that teachers can use it to incorporate computational thinking as part of any book or story study. So it's going to be really versatile, and it's designed for K-8 teachers for now. So look for more information about that for this coming fall. Also, we are having a reopening of our lending library, and we'll have an opening of our new STEM equity library that's also located in Grieve. So more information to come on those. We have some ongoing opportunities, and I'm going to go to this next slide. I guess it was so important that it bears repeating, shows up again. So some of these ongoing opportunities have to do with using our website. We have lots of resources there, so you can access those that way. Also, following us through social media, the East Tennessee STEM Hub. You can sign up for a newsletter as well. And you can also reach out to us if you are looking for family STEM night support. We really have teams of students and also community organizations that help us to do that. And we enjoy doing that. We enjoy being out in schools and meeting parents, families, students, and teachers too. Okay. So a couple of other things I wanted to touch on. If you have any suggestions, thoughts about programming events, we welcome your thoughts, welcome any ideas you have. You can share these ideas through this Google form, or you can email us at the East Tennessee STEM Hub, or you can email me directly if you'd like to do that. But again, we're always open to feedback that you have about how we can do a better job supporting STEM in the region. And then finally, so I'd like to extend my heartfelt thanks to you, because we wouldn't be able to do this work without you and all your efforts. So thanks again.
Okay. My name is Anant Godbole. I'm the director of the Center of Excellence in STEM education. But as far as this summit is concerned, I direct the Northeast Tennessee STEM Hub. And what I've done is a little bit of a different presentation style. Of course, my PowerPoint is absolute vanilla compared to Lynn's, but that aside, I've just chosen a few of the initiatives, and what I'll do is talk a little bit in depth about each one of them. All right. So where it all started was the collaboration with the Eastman. Actually, it used to be called the Eastman Chemical Company, but now you just have to say Eastman. So it's a collaboration with Eastman, and what we do is run the Mathletes and Science Elites programs every summer, and we've been doing it since 2007, which makes this the 15th year. And every year, Tanya Foreman and I have to She's the manager of the Eastman educational initiatives. She and I have to figure out what year this is. But it's been 15 years now. And what we do is offer 3 sections of high level professional development provided to schools in 7 service districts. And it's mathematics in grades K2, 3, 5, and 6, 8. And when it comes to science leads, it's only 3, 5. Instructors are ETSU faculty in mathematics or mathematics education, science education, and teachers are not allowed to repeat the course. What we do is give them full graduate credit, and it's a no holds barred, no compromise content course in which pedagogy is infused. So the graduate credit is offered either in Math 5010, 5025, and CUAI 5113. I'm missing one other class for the science leads. It's SCED 5990. Eastman used to pay the tuition and the professor's salaries and add an extra stipend for each professor for year-round monitoring. And there was money for manipulatives and a stipend. So this was all very good. What happened, though, in 2014 is that I took over as center director, and Eastman management changed also. And it seemed like they were giving us too much. They were paying the tuition and paying the salaries. So we have transitioned into a model that cost shares expenses. ETSU gives teachers tuition scholarships, and Eastman continues to pay other expenses. Right, and Science Leads was launched in 2016. And just to put everything in context, the Northeast Tennessee STEM Hub was launched in 2011. So this is kind of one of our I want to say it's probably the most well-known of our programs. It has been a model of industry-university collaboration. Eastman has poured in $1.5 million over the years. And we just do it on an invoice basis. We spend the money over the summer, and in October, we send Eastman an invoice, and it's paid after the event. Scores have increased significantly in service districts, and we look forward to further making the offerings more STEM-like. And one of the things we do is we have a coding day in every math leads class. And the point is that this commitment from ETSU to do the cost sharing has led to other similar cost shares for things like the Tennessee STEM Innovation Network's Innovative Educator Workshops. Those are cost shared by ETSU also. All right. Some other things. Dr. Tai, who's the associate director of the hub and the center, has been doing a lot of integration of STEM with literacy and computation in elementary education. The idea is to develop an innovative and scalable educational model to address a trend in society's needs in a rural environment. And this grant feeds off of several math science partnership grants that were procured and led by Dr. Chi-Che Tai. So that's another thing that is ongoing. It will end in 2023, a 5-year, $665,000 grant. And the whole point here is integrating STEM with both literacy and computation, and doing this at the elementary school level. So then what we run every summer, starting actually this Sunday in a couple of days, also since 2007, is the Governor's School for the Integration of Statistics and Biology. Now, there's governor schools all across the state. There's 11, 13 of them. We have 2 of them at East Tennessee State University. But the one that I'm talking about is actually housed in the center and definitely goes along at the same time with many hub activities. We have 30 rising juniors and seniors. We give them 7 academic credits in math 1530, which is statistics, and biology 1110. And the curriculum is actually an offshoot of a Howard Hughes Medical Institute grant that we got in 2005, I believe. And what has happened is that integrating the content is really the theme, as it has been ever since that Howard Hughes grant. We have integrated STEM projects that the students do. And in 2020, last year, the governor's school went entirely online, and it was based on virology. And many students now are reporting STEM courses as part of their academic portfolio in addition to honors and AP classes, which used to not be the case. Students such as the ones that came to a governor's school would typically be taking a lot of AP classes so as to get ahead in college, honors classes. STEM was just a thing that was considered to be not entirely mainstream at the time, and that has changed and very, very drastically. And I really think that that's a great, great development. So that's the governor's school. And what I'd like to end with is what the Tennessee STEM Innovation Network funds us to do. It is really an opportunity for us to be innovative. And so the I in TSIN really is something that we try and live up to. So in 2021, there were 2 regional meetings that are over. One dealt with computer science for all, the national initiative. And the second is Defined Learning, which is the STEM platform that TSIN pays for schools across the state. And so we focused our meetings on those 2 themes, which are really very important to STEM, to TSIN. And then there were 4 summer workshops. The first of them starts next Monday, May 24th, and it would be in synthetic biology. Synthetic biology is a discipline that basically uses the DNA in a cell as a coding language to enable the cell to do things that it wouldn't normally do, such as glow in the dark or something of that kind. So synthetic biology is a STEM area which lies at the intersection of computer science, engineering, biology, and mathematics and statistics. It is a very STEMmy in its outlook. So that will be one workshop for high school teachers. Epidemiology. Well, that is something that we began to do in the governor's school. We started studying about viruses and epidemics and basing the biology and the stats class on that applied discipline. And then we figured out that this would be a good topic to embed in classes such as Biology 2 or Anatomy and Physiology. So we will be doing a workshop this summer, June 11th to the 15th, I believe, on epidemiology. And then ones that we have offered in the past are computer science. This is for grades 2 through 5. That will happen also June 11th to the 14th. And then high school PBL, project-based learning, has been a very popular workshop, and it will be offered by our trainers for the 3rd or 4th year. I want to mention that as we were planning these TSIN workshops, the Niswonger Foundation, which is a foundation in Northeast Tennessee, was able to procure a wonderful grant. It's the Education Innovation Research Grants, EIR, and it is a multi-million-dollar grant. And what they will be doing is engaging in professional development for local teachers. And they have decided to do the PD not in terms of a week or 2 weeks, but in terms of 3 years. So each teacher who commits to taking a deep dive into, say, synthetic biology would be studying it and implementing it in their classroom for 3 whole years. So it is a long haul professional development that is being planned. And right now, the project has just started. What we are doing is making sure that teachers are ready for this long haul. So it's the teachers have to understand why they're doing it. So we're working with TNTP, which is the New Teacher Project, and also with educational psychologists in at ETSU. And also, administrators have to realize that this is not just something they said yes to, but it's a commitment. And TNTP is again playing a important role with that. And also at ETSU, we have the faculty in educational leadership and policy analysis. So ed leadership and educational psychology are joining hands to do this kind of a um, professional development in anticipation of the teachers getting into epidemiology and synthetic biology and global information systems, things like that. I believe that is my last slide, and I am therefore done. I did notice a couple of questions in chat. Let's look at those. Just one. I think this was direct. It came up during your talk, Lynn, and Juliana is asking about suggestions for integrating STEM with the related arts. Our related
Okay,
arts teachers teach
great.
across multiple schools throughout there.
Mhm. Well, thank you for that really good question. And before I answer it, I want to encourage others if you have questions for either one of us or both of us, feel free to toss those into chat. Uh, but Juliana, I saw your comment a little bit earlier, and there were two thoughts that came up for me just based on our experiences. So, one way that we've connected STEM with related arts has been through data visualizations, and we've conducted a couple of projects at the upper elementary school level and also middle school. And so the great thing about data visualization is that, I mean, it can be applied to whatever topic there is or that students are interested in or that they're focusing on at the moment. Because the whole idea is to take data, summarize it, and to create art based on that. And so it's really students looking at that, looking at the data, and saying, you know, what does this convey to me? And then also, how do I convey this meaning to an audience? And so I'm glad to provide more information on that to you if you like. The second, and we're hoping, we submitted a National Science Foundation grant to really look at how we can capitalize on young people creating data visualizations to support community learning about topics that really matter to their communities. So we're hoping to hear something this summer. I'm glad to share information about that. That might be a way that you, your teachers, or other schools could also be involved directly. So the second thought that I had is about design work. That seems to be another way that we're connecting STEM with the related arts. And so at a local school here in Knoxville, students from the College of Architecture worked with an elementary school, some of the students kind of in a focus group to work on design, to design a STEM library, an outdoor STEM library. And this has been a long process, and we are hoping that there'll be construction that happens this fall. And so I think taking that design process, it can be about anything. And we're offering, this is again a little plug. I guess I'm pretty shameless in my plugs for this the professional development, but we're offering the design thinking workshop, and it is very open and can be inclusive of STEM teachers, but also other teachers. We're opening it to other individuals as well. So that may be another place. But feel free to reach out to me, lhodge4@utk.edu, and I'm glad to provide more details about those. So I don't see any other questions. Anant, any other comments you'd like to make?
No, I'm just fortunate that I found my way into the room. I was having some trouble, and it was a silly reason which has happened before. But yeah,
Sure.
um, Nothing else from me.
Okay. Well, great. Nothing else for me either. I hope everyone has a great summer and we'll catch up with you soon.
Thanks all.